Good morning. So today we're going to be doing Claude 101 research deep dives. So let's get to it. I'll just share my screen. Boom. Entire screen. And I'll just share. All right. And now let's minimize this. So for research mode and deep dives with Claude 101, I'll make sure to include the link to in the description. So let's get to it. So our learning objectives are, by the end of this lesson, you will be able to explain what research does, systematic multi-source investigation, identify when to use research for comprehensive information gathering, pretty much for information gathering, understand how research works with extended thinking to deliver thorough outputs. So extended thinking just means now take more time to process whatever you asked it. Write effective research prompts for complex investigations. So we'll be able to write research prompts, all right, for complex investigations, like I said. So the key takeaways are, for researching with Claude, the key takeaways are: research transforms how Claude finds and analyzes information. Instead of a single search, Claude operates agentically, conducting multiple searches that build on each other while determining exactly what to investigate next. It explores different angles of your questions automatically and works through open questions systematically. So I'll read that one more time again. So instead of a single search, Claude operates agentically, conducting multiple searches that build on each other while determining exactly what to investigate next. Okay. It explores different angles of your question automatically and works through open questions systematically. So it looks like you ask some research knowledge, and it can, instead of just being like a chatbot, it can like go deeper and ask even more complex questions to build on the research. So it's like a really good research assistant. Research delivers comprehensive answers in minutes. Most reports complete in 5 to 15 minutes, though more complex investigations may take up to 45 minutes. Work that would typically require hours of manual research. So basically, them just straight up telling us that, like, yo, with Claude research mode, you can speed up your research. Because it says again, most reports complete in 5 to 10 minutes, 5 to 15 minutes, though more complex investigations may take up to 45 minutes. And they say, well, this might sound like some high numbers, kind of, but usually this research would be like hours of manual research. So yeah, that's good. Extended thinking is automatically enabled with research. This powerful combination lets Claude both plan its approach, thoughtfully and gather comprehensive information, breaking complex requests into manageable pieces. Okay, so extended thinking is automatically enabled with research. This powerful combination lets Claude both plan its approach thoughtfully and gather comprehensive information, breaking complex requests into manageable pieces. Nice. Citations make verification easy. Research delivers thorough answers complete with easy to check citations, so you can trust Claude's findings and quickly verify sources yourself. So this is really good. So it's like whatever you're searching, it will actually tell where it got it from, it's citations. So nice. Helps to prevent hallucinations too. All right. So what is research? So research is an advanced feature that transforms Claude from a conversational assistant into a systematic investigator. When you enable research, Claude doesn't just answer your question, it explores it from multiple angles, synthesizing information from across the web and your connected integrations. So you might actually just, research this, but it will go a step further. Because remember, it's agentic, so it can take more action. It's not just answering, it's not just a chatbot. It can take extra action to do extra work, and it will do the extra work to get even more detail on whatever you're trying to research. Think of it as having a skilled research assistant, right? Who can spend hours gathering information, cross-referencing sources, and compiling a comprehensive report. Except it happens in minutes instead of hours. That's a big one. So you can do all that research using Claude, and it will be way faster than doing it manually, which might not take hours, right? So research is particularly valuable when you need more than a quick answer. It's designed for situations where a thorough understanding requires pulling together information from multiple sources, comparing different perspectives, and synthesizing findings into actionable insights. And we pretty much just discussed that earlier, where it's like it will pull different sources, it will check different things, different areas for whatever you're asking it to research, and it will also give you citations so you can prove and go to those sources. All right. So when to use research. Understanding when to use research versus other Claude capabilities helps you get the best results for your specific needs. Use research when you need comprehensive reports that synthesize information from multiple sources. In depth, when you need in depth analysis across the web and your connected integrations. You use it also when for thorough investigations that would typically require hours of manual work. You can use it for comparative analysis, such as evaluating competitors or vendor options. Also for reports with citations you can verify. All right, so those are some of the reasons why you would use research, pretty much. And so research is ideal for tasks like market analysis and competitive research. 'Cause remember, it will go a step further. You might ask it to just compare two companies, but it might find other additional detail which would be good for comparing and actually work on these. Planning and complex projects like team offsites or product launches. Yeah, we definitely see that. Synthesizing information from your email, calendar, and documents. Okay. So you could get it to go inside the email and pretty much synthesize that information. And you could do that more than likely through connectors. So in the previous videos, we actually went over connectors in Claude 101, but it's a way where you can basically connect your Claude with like external tools like Google Drive or Canva or all of those stuff that isn't exactly built into Claude Desktop. So next thing is creating technical documentation that draws from multiple sources, preparing briefings that require current verified information. All right. So consider when to use web search instead. So you would use web search when you need a quick, specific fact like today's stock price or company's address. If you need the answer requires only one or two sources, speed matters than comprehensiveness. So web search sounds like it's pretty much the one where it's like if you just want some quick, that's more to like the question and answer, more like a chatbot feature, where you just want something quick and easy. You ask for something you want to just give you. You don't want to go the extra mile and do more extra research on different sources to find out why this is happening compared to this. You just want, hey, just like it says, what is today's stock price or a company's address? All right. So consider extending thinking instead when you need deep reasoning on a complex problem that doesn't require external information. You're working on mathematical problems, code debugging, or logical analysis. All right. The answer comes from reasoning through a problem rather than gathering information. All right. Consider enterprise search instead when, I remember we did in our last video, we actually went over enterprise search. So if you're not familiar with that, just check out the previous video. But pretty much it says use enterprise search when you need answers that draw from your organization's internal knowledge, documents, Slack threads, emails, meeting notes, or when you're onboarding and want to quickly find how your company handles something like policies, processes, or past decisions. So just like as a reminder, enterprise search is basically your company's kind of Claude project. And it's like it has all those internal documents, so like onboarding documents, maybe policies documents. So it has all of that kind of baked into that Claude project you have just for your company. So it has that company information. So any employee can pretty much just ask a question about information that you might need about the company. Maybe you need someone from HR or so forth, and you'll get like a Claude response from it based on the information added to the project. All right. So it's how research works. When you enable research, you're activating an agentic multi-step process that goes far beyond a simple web search. Claude autonomously decides what to search next based on what it has already found. pursuing leads, and filling gaps without you needing to direct each step. Now, we kind of got the idea of this from basically everything else we were reading. So, yeah. So it's like, yeah, if you active something in research mode, it will go the extra mile. It will do further research. It will get citations. It will compare things on different similar topics. It won't just be a one hit and you just get back the answer. All right. But it's still faster than manual research, because that's one thing it was definitely pushing. So step one, Claude plans its approach, right? Then it's when search is enabled, extended thinking automatically activates. This, as long as you're in research, you automatically just get extended thinking. This lets Claude break down your requests, identify what information is needed, and plan how to investigate different angles of your question. Step two, Claude conducts multiple searches. Rather than running a single search, Claude conducts many searches that build on each other, right? It determines what to investigate next based on what it finds, pursuing promising leads and filling in gaps. Now, literally, we've been talking about this earlier in the article, how it will take the extra mile, it will do further research. So yeah, Claude synthesizing findings after gathering information from multiple sources, including the web and any connected connectors like Gmail, Google Calendar, or Google Drive. Claude compiles everything into a comprehensive, well-organized report. Step four, Claude provides citations. Yeah, we know this. So every claim in research reports links back to its source, which is really good, especially if you do maybe some type of research from maybe class or whatever, or even further, or as a scientist, you might need to verify some of your findings. Claude in research mode would pretty much always give you the citations or sources, making it easy to verify information and dig deeper when needed. All right. So it says using research in practice. So it says here's how to enable and use research. So it says click the plus button on the bottom left of your chat interface. So instead of just reading this, let's just do this. So we'll go over here, right? And so click the plus button. Drag this over. Yeah, drag this over some more. All right, so click left of your chat interface. So boom, plus. Select the research from the menu. So here is research. All right, and we get this icon pretty much here. When it appears highlighted once, enter your prompt and submit. Claude will work in the background and you'll see progress indicators as it searches and analyzes. All right, let's try something. Let's try research how Jamaica has been impacted by hurricane Melissa and steps they could take to help reduce casualties in future hurricanes. All right, so I guess we'll just give that some time to figure that out. Oh, it actually did. Right, so I'll dig into this deeper. Enable connectors to Claude to use. So you can enable any of these. I don't think it will need any of these, but I'll hit cancel. I don't think it needs any of those. Oh, it looked like just because I hit cancel, that stopped it. So connectors under 6. So I'll hit it again. This is a clear specific request. Whatever. Here, take it. All right, so we just enabled the connectors. I don't see why you would need some of those connectors there, but let's just see. And then while that goes, as I said, research can take time. It said tips are web research must be enabled for research to function. If you haven't already turned on web research, you can do so from the same menu. I'm pretty sure I have web research already on here. Yeah, so I have web search here. So I can see the check. So that's already on. So we're good there. And you see it's still doing its research. Cool. So in the meantime, let's go back over here. So it says tips for effective research prompts. Since research can take 5 to 45 minutes, depending on complexity, investigating time in crafting your prompts pays off. Here are some strategies. Be specific about your goals. Yo, they always talk about this. Even in previous courses for Claude 101, context was a big thing. The more specific you are, the better response you'll get, more detailed. All right. So instead of tell me about the EV market, try analyze the electric vehicle battery market, identify key players, technology trends, and supply chain challenges that might affect investment decisions. All right. So that's more detail. Claude will definitely get a better response versus just tell me about the EV market. I will just give you everything, you know. So no constraint, no guidance. So yeah. So specify the sections or structure you want. Claude will organize its findings around the structure you provide. For example, compare venue options from for a team offsite, including location and accessibility, meeting space and amenities, catering options, and pricing considerations. Way better prompt compared to the original, right? All right, so the next thing is include relevant constraints, budget ranges, timelines, geographic requirements, and other parameters help Claude focus its research on relevant options. So big thing I get what I'm getting from this is still context is important. The more context you give it and kind of guardrails or constraints, like yo, stick to this area. Don't it's a big space, but kind of focus on this area helps with the response you get back from Claude. So ask Claude to help. If you're not sure how to frame your research question, you can even ask Claude to help you write a better research prompt before enabling the feature. All right, cool. So working with connected integrations, when you have Google Workspace or other integrations connected, research becomes even more powerful. So those are those connectors it kind of asked me for. I kind of canceled the first time, but ended up turning on. So Claude can pull context from your emails, calendar, and documents alongside web research. For example, you might ask Claude to summarize what's been discussed about Project X across my emails and Slack, then research industry best practices for similar initiatives. Next thing is review my calendar commitments for next week and research each company I'm meeting with. Maybe you're looking up for job applications and you want to know more about the company. Because you know, a lot of the time interviewers will ask you, tell me why you want to work at this company, or tell me something you know about the company. They will help with that. So find all internal documents about our pricing strategy and compare to how competitors are positioning themselves. Nice. So when using research with integrations, you can steer Claude by saying things like pull relevant context from my Google Drive. Again, context and the guardrail, steering it. All right. Or include insights from my recent emails on this topic. Pro tip, you can also turn off web research to do internal only research across your connected tools. Great for questions like, what did our team discuss about the Q3 launch across Slack and Docs? So some learning reflections. Before moving on, consider what research tasks in your work typically require gathering information from multiple sources. Maybe if you're a college student or so, or just some scientist just researching something. Or maybe you're looking at houses to buy, you know? How might combining research with your connected integrations like Google Workspace change your workflow? That will help. Maybe you're researching some stuff and then maybe you have references or certain requirements that you were kind of looking for mentioned in a Google Doc. Or maybe you want it to be outputted. Maybe after you do all that research, you want it to be sent to Google Docs or your Google Workspace, whatever. What's a complex question you've been putting off because it would take too much research time? I guess the hurricane thing. Let's just check on that, by the way. So let's go back over to Cloud Desktop. And it is still doing its thing. Okay. All right. So let's jump back over to here. Jump back over to here. And yeah, we've pretty much the end of this. But what we like to do is we like to, well, at least for me to really have whatever I'm learning cement. I usually try to go back up, do another summarize read, and just kind of take it in. So I'll go back up here and I'm going to say, all right, Researching with Claude, the key takeaways will be research transforms how Claude finds and analyzes information. Research delivers comprehensive answers in minutes, is way faster compared to manual doing research, which more likely might take hours. Extended thinking is automatically enabled with research mode. Citations make verifications easy, and Claude in research mode, Claude provides citations. And now it says, what is research? Research is an advanced feature that transforms Claude from a conversational assistant into a systematic investigator. When you enable research, Claude does not just answer your question, it explores it from multiple angles, synthesizing information from across the web and their connected integrations. All right. When to use research. So use research when you need comprehensive reports that synthesize information from multiple sources, in-depth analysis across the web, and your connected integrations, your connectors, thorough investigations that would typically require hours of manual work, comparative analysis, such as evaluating competitors or vendor options, and reports with citations you can verify. Research is ideal for tasks like market analysis and competitive research. Not going to read all of these, just some of them. Preparing briefings that require current or verified information. Remember, you're going to get citations too. And then it says, consider web research instead when you need a quick, specific fact, like today's stock price or a company's address. They don't need too much extra research done for these type of questions. So use the web search instead. Consider extended thinking instead when you need deep reasoning on a complex problem that doesn't require external information. All right. And then to consider enterprise search instead. And then we did on the Claude 101 enterprise search in the previous video. So if you want to follow along and learn that too, just jump to the other video. So it says you need answers that draw from your organization's internal knowledge, documents, Slack threads, emails, meeting notes about that happened in your organization that Claude is keeping track of, right? So Claude plans its approach. Claude conducts multiple searches. Claude synthesizes its findings, and Claude provides citations. So you know where the information you get is coming from, the sources. And then this is just a description of how to set up research mode. Let's jump back to Claude desktop to see if it actually gave us. Oh, so it finally gave us it. So make this a little bigger. So this is what it gave us. So it says your Hurricane Melissa recovery and resilience report for Jamaica is ready. It's stage recommendations organized by urgency, immediate actions before November 26 hurricane season, shelter, trust building, evacuation drills, etc. All right. And the medium to long-term priorities over 2 to 5 years. So it's telling it's going to give us like what you should probably do in 2 to 5 years. And I guess this is the report. And this is it. So it says recommendation stage with trigger threshold immediate. Rebuild trust in shelter. So these are the immediate recommendations it adds that it recommends doing before November 2026 for hurricane season. Rebuild trust in shelters, launch a national evacuation drill and public education campaign, attach technical supervision to roof grants, require hurricane straps, proper rafter fastenings, etc. Pre-position relief stocks. Okay. Some short-term things it could do. Begin selective grid hardening, accelerate mangrove restoration, and medium to long term, relocate high risk informal. So it is pretty detailed, and I do kind of like that. It's in closing. Melissa provided proof that Jamaica's institution can save lives even against the strongest storm in its history. Okay. It also proved that weak roofs, untrusted shelters, exposed coasts, and the vulnerability of the poor still kill. All right. So we have the idea that. So what I'm gonna do is go back over here. So we did our research. You write your own research on some topic you're curious about, and then next after that it says important when web search must be enabled for research to function. if you haven't already turned on web search, you can do that from the plus menu. And we saw that. So to turn it on, web search, you just have to press the plus button here in Claude Desktop, and then you can just check web search right here. So go back over. And it's a tips for effective research prompts. Be specific about your goals. My example is, instead of tell me about the EV market, try instead analyze the electric vehicle battery market, identify key players, technology trends, and supply chain challenges that might affect investment decisions. Cool. So that's a better way how you could ask a question for research. So another thing is to have a good research outcome. Specify the sections or structure you want. Include relevant constraints. Ask Claude to help with even refining your prompt. Maybe you just need help with refining your prompt while you're asking it. All right. And then, so another pro tip. Okay. When using research with integrations, you can steer Claude by saying things like, pull relevant context from my Google Drive, or include insights from my recent email. So whatever connector you have on, whether it be Google Drive or maybe a Gmail or something, it can get more context from those external sources using a connector. And the pro tip is you can also turn off web search to do internal only research across your connected tools. Great for questions like, what did your team discuss about the Q3 launch across Slack and Docs? All right. And then these are learning reflections, which we did earlier. And then the other thing is what's next. In the next section, we're putting it all together. You'll see how everything you've learned comes together through real world use cases, real world use cases organized by role, and discover additional ways to interact with Claude beyond the web interface. All right. And there's some more information. And if you like, you can provide some feedback by just clicking that link. So we'll hit next for now. All right. And in the next video, what we're going to do is pretty much go over Claude in action, use cases by role. So yeah, look forward to that. If you like this and want some more videos, just stick around and share. And yeah, this is just us doing learnings together. Sometimes it's better learning a topic with somebody else. And yeah, that's what I'm thinking to do for these. So if you like this, again, like, comment, share, check out other videos. And remember the motto, anyone can learn anything with time, practice, and failures. All right. This is Nerdy Yardy, and I'm out. Great. Live streaming. Oop, need to end the stream.